Hello, peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello.
We are the Fright Club and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. In fact, it's part two to our episode of The Descent, where we are interviewing lead star Shauna Macdonald.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched part one, please go back onto our YouTube channel and check that out first. And without further ado, here's the interview with Shauna Macdonald. Enjoy.
No, I'm a big sissy. I get very scared when I watch horror movies. I never imagined that I would be in a horror. I watched The Poltergeist when I was too young to watch it because I was round at a friend of my dad's house, and myself and my sister went into the living room when the adults were chatting in the kitchen, and it happened to be on the television, and it scarred us for life. I think we must have been only about 7 or 8. So I was put off horror at a very young age. Little did I know how much fun it was to be in, but no, it was not a genre I thought I was going to go into. I was classically trained, whatever that really means. I thought maybe I'd be doing Shakespeare, maybe some Chekhov. I didn't imagine that I would spend a lot of my time covered in blood and fighting monsters. This is back in the day when you would go into your agent's office and they would hand you over a brown envelope, and inside that brown envelope was a script, and that in itself was always very exciting. So my agent did tell me what it was about. She said it's about 6 girls that go caving and then there's monsters inside, and I thought, oh God, this is going to be just another girls running away from monster movie, and I really didn't like to think of myself as part of a subgenre where there's lots of girls screaming and they're getting chased and they need a guy to save them. However, she then told me that it was the same director as Dog Soldiers. So I thought, aha, I had seen Dog Soldiers. It's one of the horror films that I did actually go to see. I saw it in Glasgow and I thought it was brilliant. When I started the auditioning process, it didn't feel like another gig. And when I read the script, it was just like nothing I had ever had the pleasure of reading before. And the character of Sarah, her journey is incredible. The character gets to do all these incredible fights, and her character is so layered, and it's a real journey. So I thought, oh gosh, well, horror actually really opens up opportunities for female characters, because you're kind of playing with the real and the unreal. So you get to be kick-ass and vulnerable almost within the same scene. He likes his hats, Neil. He's got a good collection of hats. No, he's very good at working with actors. He used to come over and talk to us individually, which was brilliant. Actors all have very different needs, and he made sure that he gave all of us what we needed, and specific and detailed direction, really. And his whole driving point with us was, I want these characters to be realistic, and they're in probably an unrealistic setting, although being trapped in a cave is not unrealistic, but perhaps playing with the subterranean creatures is an unrealistic element. But he wanted to make sure that the girls, the other actors, really played out the drama of the scene rather than the genre of the scene. We did not know each other, and we did do lots of bonding. It was amazing. Luckily, the film had put in their budget money for training. So we did climbing, we did go caving, we did some whitewater rafting. And so that involved weekends away as well. I mean, the cast really just got on very well, very quickly. And that's one of the great magical things about this movie, is the casting. I think that's why we've stood the test of time. The girls and us, the gang, we have stayed in touch and we love each other dearly, and it's, 18 years on. We didn't know each other before, And I'm just so glad that I know them now, because I think they're just kick-ass superhumans, goddesses. So I'm very grateful for The Descent for bringing the girls into my life. Maybe a Scottish accent, maybe some freckles. Maybe if I'm feeling tired, a bit of a speech impediment. I wanted her to physically transform, actually, and that wasn't written into the script. I was told that we would be shooting chronologically as much as we could, and that was purely a decision made on budget reasons to do with creating the set and how they would cut the set up essentially overnight and make it a different part of the cave system. So I thought, if I can get my biceps going and give her a physical transformation. So that was something that wasn't written into the script. And also, I think her meek and mildness at the beginning possibly wasn't written into the script. And I really wanted to give her that kind of vulnerability and a character that does not seem like a leading character, to make that change so stark. This is true, we were not told or shown any images, any reference points. We were told that they could hunt by sound, and they'd been there a long time. So, you have your imagination to help you along the way. The reaction was priceless. I got to see a crawler first. Like I said, we shot chronologically, and Sarah does see something down a tunnel. So I was reporting back, but I think I was sworn to secrecy. I think Neil told me not to tell them, because keeping the crawlers and the actors and the images away from us, like the actors that played the crawlers, created an amazing sense of fear of the unknown, I guess. And that was enough, actually. I've done quite a few horror films, and the monsters are not scary because they're people in makeup when you shout cut, and we're pretending to be scared. Sorry if that's a massive spoiler, but the actors generally are not scared unless the director plays tricks on them. Neil didn't play any tricks on us, which I was glad about because I don't think it's needed. The only trick he played was, let's keep the crawlers away. So when the first crawler appears behind the shoulder of one of the characters, it's actually through my character Sarah is holding the night vision camera at this point. So I was offset watching it unfold because Sam McCurdy, the DOP, was operating the camera. And the girls lost their minds, screamed, and ran for the fire exit. So Neil Marshall couldn't use the shot, but it was absolutely brilliant to watch. But we screamed. We built up a persona of, tough as nails, adventure girls, and they screamed and ran away like big sissies. Well, I was only 23. I'd never had a child. I'm quite glad that I shot that film before having my children. Although in Descent Part 2, I had my child by that point, and it's not a coincidence that my real first child is called Jessie, the same as the character. I think I was worried that I wouldn't have all the tools in my toolbox as an actor to portray someone who's going through great anxiety. So maybe it was that. I mean, claustrophobia is easy for me because I hate small spaces. I really do not like it. So even though the rocks were polystyrene, I had no trouble pretending I did not like being in small enclosed spaces. I could absolutely relate to that. So I suppose it would be trying to show the weight that would be the grief of having lost a child only a year before. That was the toughest part. No hesitation about the physicality. I love being physical. I'm quite an athletic person. I've done marathons, and actually I've done an Ironman as well, which is a ridiculous endurance triathlon, which you finish with a marathon. So I've always kept myself fit, and I do love the opportunity to build my body really for the character. There was no reservations about the violence after I'd spoken to Neil and after I'd seen Dog Soldiers. I watched it recently, actually, with my daughter. Some of it is very gory. It's funny, when you're on a film set, a horror film set, because I've been on a few of them, everybody gets the giggles a little bit when the blood comes out. To reset blood is a big deal, so everybody wants to get the blood pieces right the first time, the attacks and the exposing of the wound or whatever it is. So to reset that, to reset the actors, to reset the costume and the makeup, takes a really long time. So everybody is super concentrated, actually, to make sure that that moment that they capture on camera is right. So it's very exciting, and some people get a bit giddy with the excitement of the blood. Weirdly, it wasn't hugely financially successful for us. I'm sure it was for the producers. Critically, yes, we knew as soon as the reviews started to come out that we were on to a good thing. You never really know when you're in a film if it's going to be any good. You really don't know. We knew that we had an amazing time doing it, and there was lots of time and effort and skill and talent and love poured into it, and we just hoped beyond hope that it would work. And actually, really, it's the acting that works really well, but also a huge part is, are the monsters scary? Are the crawlers scary? Do they look scary on film? And yes, they do. And I think also things like the set design is absolutely incredible, and the sound, I mean, the musical score and the sound throughout the film just adds to the layers. So we don't really know any of that until we watched it in the cinema for the first time. Actually, the Dog Soldier Boys came to our premiere in Leicester Square, so it was pretty special, and they told us it was awesome as well, so that kind of sealed the deal. Huge learning experience. I learned the stamina involved in being in a leading part, I guess, in a film, and what it takes to be a good team member and a good cast member, good friend, all those things. It was just, life-changing experience. Like I said, I was only 23, and I had worked quite a bit before, but I knew that this was a kind of make or break. It's either going to work or it's not. Sarah, I guess you would say, is a protagonist, although it's an ensemble piece. So I gained a huge amount out of it. And actually, when I watch it back, I see all the mistakes I've made. And you can only sort of learn from your mistakes by watching your own work back and being very honest with yourself. Favourite was probably the whole sequence with finding Beth and then getting covered in blood and that sort of transformation, to showing her ruthless side when she's covered in blood and that guttural scream, I think. Least favourite scene to film? Least favourite scene? I think I was a bit worried about the cabin scene because we were all supposed to be a bit drunk and wasn't sure how to do drunk acting. I might have drunk some beers before to help, which is very naughty. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe that was my least favourite, but actually not all the girls were there for that. Maybe the last scene. The last scene was my least favourite because it meant it was the end. And the very last scene in the film, the very last shot of the film, it was the very last scene and shot that we shot at Pinewood, and everybody was there, and we all hugged each other and said what a wonderful experience it was and that we loved each other, and we were sad that it was finished. The Descent was quite a long time ago, 2005, and it's still a massive fight that we're all fighting. This film starred 6 females, and it's still unusual for a film to have 6 females in it. And if it has 6 females in it, the conversation is about what, this film had 6 females in it rather than the story or the plot. So that's a shame that we're still at that point. But I think, it did help. It's definitely a powerful movie with 6 very complicated characters in it. I've been told that The Descent is about girl power. I would argue that because the characters in The Descent they don't necessarily stick together. Their friendships shatter, or some of the friendships shatter. And unlike in Dog Soldiers, where there's a common foe and they all pull together, in The Descent there's a common foe and they all sort of splinter and look after, if it's not just themselves, it's who they deem the most important in the group. So I loved that it represented women in a more complicated, unpredictable, messy way, because I guess we're all like that, women included. Good luck with your endeavours. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Shauna Macdonald, and good night.